Everyone on Meridian Station thought Elia Marr was ordinary. She worked the night shift in hydroponics Ring C, tending nutrient vats and trimming gene leaf vines with quiet patience. She wore plain station grays, ate alone, and spoke only when spoken to. On a station full of alien dignitaries, mercenary crews, and augmented traders, she blended into the background like recycled air. I noticed her only because I logged maintenance reports near her section. She had an old-fashioned smile and eyes that seemed too calm for a frontier station perched on the edge of contested space. Meridian Station itself was anything but calm. It sat at the crossroads of three empires, officially neutral, unofficially watched by everyone with guns and ambitions. The Celt Dominion had begun flexing its military might, and rumors spread that Meridian would be protected whether we wanted it or not. When the first Dominion warships dropped out of hyperspace, blotting out the stars with their angular hulls, panic rippled through the station. Defense grids powered up. Civilians were ordered to shelter. Soldiers in crimson and black armor flooded the corridors. I was in Ring C when the lockdown alarms wailed. Elia didn't run. She finished sealing a nutrient tank, wiped her hands, and looked up as the floor vibrated under marching boots. "Looks like they're early," she said softly. I asked what she meant, but before she could answer, the bulkhead doors slid open and Dominion shock troops poured in, weapons raised. Their visors scanned, targeting every heat signature. One of them barked orders in a harsh, clicking tongue, demanding all civilians kneel. Most of us dropped immediately. Fear does that. Elia remained standing. The lead soldier aimed his rifle at her chest. "Kneel," he translated through his helmet. Elia sighed, not in fear, but in something like disappointment. She reached into her pocket, and my heart nearly stopped, certain she'd doom us all. Instead, she pulled out a thin, silvery band, worn smooth by time. She slipped it onto her finger and straightened her back. "I am Elia Marr," she said, her voice carrying with a resonance I hadn't heard before. "By the authority of the Terran Compact and the Accords of First Defense, stand down." For a heartbeat nothing happened. Then every Dominion soldier froze. Their rifles lowered as if guided by invisible hands. One by one they dropped to one knee. The clang of armored knees striking deck plating echoed through the hydroponics ring like thunder. The lead soldier removed his helmet, revealing eyes wide with something between awe and terror. "Forgive us," he said. "We did not know you were awake." Word spread faster than panic ever had. Across Meridian Station, Dominion forces halted, knelt, and withdrew. Commanders opened encrypted channels, voices trembling as they asked for confirmation. Elia walked through it all as if strolling a garden path, asking for water rations to be restored and emergency lights to be dimmed because they hurt people's eyes. When the last warship jumped away, the station was silent, stunned by its own survival. Later, in a quiet observation lounge, I finally asked her who she really was. Elia looked out at the stars, the silvery band catching starlight. "I'm human," she said, smiling at my skepticism. "Just an old kind of human." She told me about the First Defense, a legacy project from humanity's earliest expansion. When humans realized the galaxy was dangerous, they didn't just build fleets. They built people, guardians encoded into history, myth, and bureaucracy. Individuals recognized, even by enemy empires, as absolute last resort authorities. "The Dominion remembers," she said. "They learned the hard way. We don't conquer. We endure. And if pushed, we end wars before they begin." She had been asleep, living quietly, until patterns of aggression triggered her awakening. Meridian Station wasn't strategically valuable. It was symbolically important. A line in the sand. In the days that followed, delegations arrived not with threats, but with apologies. Treaties were signed in record time. The Celt Dominion formally recognized Meridian's neutrality. Elia declined every offer of power or position. When asked what she wanted in return, she requested only a small hydroponics plot and permission to remain anonymous. "Someone has to keep the station fed," she joked. Before she returned to Ring C, she left me with a final thought. "They call it HFY now, don't they?" she said, amused. Humans proving themselves again and again. But it was never about superiority. It was about responsibility. She tapped the ring gently. "We made ourselves ordinary on purpose. That way, no one sees us coming." Elia went back to trimming gene leaf vines. Just another worker in Station Gray. But now, whenever soldiers pass through Meridian Station, human or alien, they walk a little softer. And sometimes, when they think no one is watching, they nod respectfully toward Hydroponics Ring C, remembering the day they knelt to someone they thought was ordinary, and learned what humanity truly meant. In the weeks after the Dominion withdrew, Meridian Station slowly returned to something resembling normal life. Trade resumed. Children laughed in the corridors again. The defense turrets powered down, though no one dared fully deactivate them. Everyone knew now that neutrality was not just a political stance. It was something humanity enforced when it mattered. Elia Mar faded back into obscurity exactly as she intended. Official records listed her as a botanical technician, night shift. And most beings accepted that explanation because it was easier than confronting the truth. Only a handful of station administrators knew better, and even they spoke of her in hushed tones, as if saying her name too loudly might wake something ancient again. I continued my maintenance rounds, but I found myself visiting Ring C more often. Sometimes Elia and I talked while she worked, her hands gentle as she guided living things back into balance. She never spoke about the soldiers kneeling, or the power she carried. To her, that moment was already past. Another crisis resolved, another fire put out before it could spread. One evening, as I prepared to leave the station for a new assignment, I stopped by to say goodbye. Elia looked older somehow, not in years, but in weight, as if the galaxy had settled briefly on her shoulders and then lifted again. She smiled when I told her Meridian felt safer because of her. "No," she corrected softly. "Meridian is safer because humanity decided long ago that survival wasn't enough. We chose to protect, even when no one is watching." I asked her how many others like her existed. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she looked at the stars beyond the viewport, at the endless dark humanity had crossed again and again. "Enough," she said. "And that's all anyone ever needs to know." When my transport pulled away from Meridian Station, I looked back one last time. From the outside, it was just another fragile structure clinging to vacuum, metal, light, and hope held together by human stubbornness. Somewhere inside, an ordinary woman tended plants, unseen and underestimated, exactly where she was meant to be. Across the galaxy, empires would plan, fleets would mobilize, and wars would threaten to ignite. But now every commander would hesitate.